Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer where we are going to completely demystify averages and make the math suddenly click into place. Whether you're prepping for a big math test or you just want to better understand the endless numbers thrown at you in the daily news, you are in exactly the right place. So here's our game plan today. We'll cover what an average actually is, the core formula, run through some simple worked examples, tackle a real-world cricket scenario, learn how to work backwards, and finally, test your knowledge. Let's jump right in. We hear the word average thrown around all the time, right? Average weather, average prices, average sports scores. But let's take a second to really dive into what that word actually means in everyday math. It's one of those things we all say, but rarely stop to, actually picture in our heads. All right, section one. What exactly is an average? Now, the fancy technical term you'll spot in textbooks is the mean, but honestly, average and mean are pretty much used interchangeably in everyday life. Basically, the average is the math world's way of making sure everything is perfectly fair and balanced. It takes a messy, totally unequal group of numbers and finds that one single, typical value that perfectly represents the whole set, as if everyone suddenly had to share perfectly evenly. Picture this. 4 friends are hanging out, sharing some chocolates. One has 4, one totally hit the jackpot with 8, another has 6, and the last friend is stuck with only 2. Pretty unfair, right? But if they pool all those chocolates together right in the middle of the table and redistribute them completely evenly, those tall stacks give to the short ones until everyone is absolutely level. And that level line? It's 5. So, the average is 5, even though literally none of the friends actually started with exactly 5 chocolates. Moving on to section 2, the average formula. The actual math here is elegantly simple. This is your absolute golden formula. Trust me, you do not need advanced calculus for this. You just find the sum of all your values, meaning you just add everything up, and then you divide that total by how many things there are. That's literally it. Sum divided by count equals your average. But before we start calculating anything, I want you to lock this rule in. The average always, and I mean always, lies somewhere between the smallest and the largest value of your group. Think back to those chocolates. The lowest was 2, the highest was 8, and our average landed right at 5. Keep this super simple tip in your back pocket to check your work. If you calculate an average that's bigger than your largest number or smaller than your smallest number, you immediately know you've made a tiny mistake somewhere. Okay, section 3, let's run through some simple worked examples. By following 3 really easy steps, add, count, divide, we can mathematically arrive at that exact same answer of 5 chocolates per front. Step 1, we find the sum. 4 plus 8 plus 6 plus 2 equals 20 total chocolates. Step 2, we count our values. We have 4 friends, so 4 numbers. Step 3, we divide that sum of 20 by the count of 4. 20 divided by 4 gives us an average of 5. Super simple, right? Let's see how this applies to something like a student's report card. Say a student scores 75, 80, 90, 65, and 90 across 5 different subjects. To find their average mark, we do the exact same thing. Step 1, add all 5 scores up, which gives us a total sum of 400. Step 2, count the values. There are 5 subjects. And step 3, divide the sum of 400 by 5. That means the student's average mark is 80. And hey, quick sanity check. 80 sits perfectly between their lowest score of 65 and their highest of 90. Next up, section 4, the cricket runs example. Let's look at a cricket batsman's performance. Across 5 matches, he scores 30, 45, 20, 55, and 50 runs. His performance bounces up and down quite a bit from match to match. But just like with our chocolates earlier, the average line visually cuts right through the middle of these chaotic scores. It levels out the tall peaks and fills in the low valleys to give us a single, solid number that represents his typical performance. So, doing the math behind that concept, we add the match runs together. 30 plus 45 plus 20 plus 55 plus 50 gives us a nice round total of 200 runs. We count the matches, which is 5. Then, we divide 200 by 5, and we find his steady, reliable average is exactly 40 runs per match. Moving right along to section 5, working backwards. Now, what happens if we know the average and the count, but we're actually missing a piece of the original data? Well, we don't need to panic. We can just use an alternative, related formula. By taking the average and multiplying it by the number of values, we can find out what the total sum of all the values must have been. It's kind of like reassembling all those shared chocolates back into one giant pile before they were ever distributed. Let's look at a concrete example of this. Imagine the average of four numbers is 12, and we know three of those original numbers are 10, 15, and 9. We just need to find that mysterious fourth number. Step 1, we multiply our average, 12, by our count, 4, to get our grand total of 48. Step 2, we add up the three numbers we actually know. 10 plus 15 plus 9 equals 34. Step 3, we subtract that 34 from our grand total of 48, and boom, we find our missing fourth number is exactly 14. Pretty cool, right?
All right, section 6, time to test your knowledge. Okay, I want you to pause this explainer right now. Seriously, grab a piece of scrap paper and a pen and use our 3-step method, or our working backwards trick, to solve these 3 practice questions. Question 1, find the average of 10, 20, and 30. Question 2, find the average of 5, 7, 9, and 11. And question 3, a fun working backwards puzzle. The average of 5 numbers is 8. What is their total sum? Go ahead, hit pause now, and we'll check your answers in just a second.
All right, let's see how you did. For question 1, you add them up to get 60, divide by 3, and your answer should be 20. For question 2, adding them gives 32, dividing by 4 means your average is 8. And for question 3, working backwards, you simply take your average of 8, multiply it by the count of 5, which gives a grand total sum of 40. If you got those right, give yourself a massive pat on the back. Now that you've mastered the formula and the sheer mathematical magic of evening out, you've got the perfect tool to bring order to literally any chaotic set of numbers you encounter. But I want to leave you with a quick thought. Think about this. If a billionaire walks into a room full of average earners, the average wealth of that room suddenly skyrockets, even though nobody else actually got a dime richer. So, is the average always telling you the true story of the middle? Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and keep questioning your data.